All right, so here's a question for you. What is your rhythm of reflection as a leader? If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you don't have one. So first, let's define, what do we mean by a rhythm of reflection?
Right. So a rhythm is a pattern of sound and silence that you might find in music, poetry, or dance, for example. And when there's a good rhythm, right, we're enjoying both the sounds that are being shared as well as the space or the silence in between. And it's the mastery of how you bring the different notes or the words together in music or poetry or movement and dance, and the silence, the space that engages us. Likewise, in leadership, if we are filling the space with our own ideas, our own direction, telling people what to do, or the mental models of what we've used in the past, especially as the world is changing rapidly, and we don't have space or silence to reflect and think about what a changing landscape means and how we might approach it, or to reflect with others on new innovative approaches, then we are not changing as fast as the world is evolving. And that becomes a miss in our leadership.
Right. And so one of the things we would encourage you to do is create your own rhythm of reflection. And here's a way to go about that, thinking about the what you do and how you do that on 3 different levels. The first level is at a higher level, pulling yourself up out of the day-to-day and think, what is the impact I'm trying to create here without getting sucked up into the day-to-day? So what might that be? And spend some time reflecting at that higher level. The second level is from a wider perspective, right? When we're in the day-to-day, we have a very narrow focus on what we're doing and thinking about things in a very specific way. And taking that time out to reflect on a wider level and say, what else might be going on that I'm not noticing? What's in the peripheral? What other creative and innovative approaches have I not considered? What beliefs am I holding that need to be examined? And what if the opposite were true? These are all examples of how you might widen your perspective in a reflective way. And the third level is really from a longer term perspective. What is it you're trying to achieve a year from now or even longer? And again, being caught up in the day-to-day, you're trying to get things out today, next week, next month, next quarter. So thinking from a longer term basis and taking that time to reflect what and how you need to do those things on a longer term basis will give you a pattern for your own rhythm of reflection.
Yeah, and with that pattern as a daily practice, now you're bringing the music of your leadership to life, so to speak. Here's the thing. Doing that on a daily basis helps us create a certain kind of energy in our leadership, but it may not actually create a deeper sense of pause that is necessary to truly lead forward in this rapidly changing landscape. Many of us will actually pause to reflect at the end of a calendar year or at the end of a fiscal year. It's not unusual to take stock, right, of what we've accomplished, who we have evolved into, the relationships we've forged, the kind of impact that we've had at the end of a calendar or fiscal year. And that's a good business practice, certainly, personally as well. But what we find in this unbelievably unprecedented time of change is that if we're not pausing to reflect more deeply outside of the day-to-day, really creating space and a different environment to actually think about who we are becoming, not just what we're doing and how we're leading, but actually who we're becoming, then that's another miss. And so we would suggest that pausing and doing a longer, deeper reflection and creating that rhythm of a deeper reflection at least once every 6 months is imperative today. And there are 3 questions that we use to guide our own personal reflection during those times of deeper reflection. 1 is, what am I choosing to release as a leader? Are there ways of thinking or acting or feeling that are no longer helpful or relevant, in fact, might be getting in the way of having a greater impact? What am I choosing to release? 2, what am I choosing to embrace? What do I really claim as part of my leadership? What's more necessary? Maybe I'm choosing to be a more innovative, experimental leader, whatever that is. And then 3, a little harder, but who am I becoming? That means that you actually have to be clear on what you take a stand for, or what your leadership is a role model or an example of. If I'm a leader who stands for XYZ, or I am a living example of ABC, then I have to bring that energy, that presence to everything that I engage in. And that only comes from moments of deeper reflection.
Yes. So we would encourage you to think about what is your rhythm of reflection that you need for yourself and the organization to be the better version of yourself as a leader and the person and professional you want to become. So thanks for watching and take good care.